Hey guys, Chef Earl here. Today I'm going to make chocolate chip scones. This is what you guys are going to be making next week. Now, you may question what is actually a scone. It's a type of quick bread. Now, the difference between a quick bread and like, say, your white sandwich bread would be the type of leavener. That is what helps that bread or your biscuits or muffins grow, expand while baking. So today we're going to be using baking powder as our leavener. Quick breads use baking powder or baking soda as the leavening agent, not yeast. So the difference between your white bread and your quick breads or your wheat breads would be the yeast that is used compared to the leavening agents like baking powder or baking soda. So I'm going to turn my camera to all of my ingredients and let's cook. All right, so you see that I've chopped up my cold butter. I've also added to my bowl flour that I've leveled off to 2 cups. I want to level this off because if you add too much flour, it can cause your scones to become too hard. So I've added 2 cups of leveled off flour. I've added a tablespoon of baking powder that I leveled off. There we go. And I've also added a half a teaspoon of salt. So all of my dry ingredients are in there right now. And I'm going to stir it up just to make sure that it's incorporated. I don't want one bite to be too salty. I also want to make sure that my leavening agents are incorporated throughout. Now, I'm going to also make sure that I've preheated my oven, which I did already, to 375. So I will go ahead and add my dry ingredients. To my mixer. Make sure you get it all in there. All right. Now, after I've added my dry ingredients to my mixer, this is where it's going to go pretty quick. You don't want to take too long and your butter start to melt. So I'm going to grab my half a cup of cubed cold butter. And I'm going to go ahead and slowly add a 2 on my KitchenAid. Let that start and break down those chunks of butter. I'm also going to add my 1 egg. I'm going to add it to this cup just to be sure that no shells get in. Goodness. All right. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So my butter, you can't even tell the chunks. You can see that they're now little bitty chunks, some of them are, and they're coated with flour. That's exactly what I want to see. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my 1 egg. Now, I do not want to overmix it. So I'm going to watch it, add my milk. It's going to kind of come together. I'll show you in a minute what I'm looking for or looking at. I'm okay with some of the flour being at the bottom. It's not going to pick it all up, okay? I don't want to overmix it. All right. So it's going to be pretty sticky. You see? That's okay. We're going to add some flour down to our workspace and it'll dry out. Again, do not want to overmix this. I want chunks of butter to still be in my dough because that's what's going to allow my scones to be soft and airy. If I overmix it and all the butter is melted, then all I'm going to get is hard hockey pucks. So to my flouring bench right here, my workbench, I'm going to sprinkle flour down. And I'm going to scoop out my scones. Now, you can be looking at me and you're like, hold on, there's no chocolate chips in there. That's okay. I know that. Thank you. I'm going to fold them in by hand. Now, I'm not expecting you to do that. I would allow you guys to fold it in with a whisk. About 3/4 cup. Let's get real. Does Chef Earl measure when she's adding chocolate chips? No, I do not. Did that look like 3/4 cup to me? Sure did. I mean, when has a chocolate chip ever hurt anybody? Okay, so it's starting to stick. I'm okay with that. I'm just going to roll it around on my dough a little, or my flour a little more. Add some flour to that, kind of roll it up like Play-Doh. And then I'm going to walk off camera and I'm going to grab my rolling pin and I'm going to roll it slightly into a circle and we'll cut it. Okay, found one. Make sure you have all your tools. All right, I'm going to flour the outside of my rolling pin. And I'm going to roll it out. Now, I'm going to bring you close. Let me wash my hands. I want you to see what I'm looking for. You see, hopefully it's focusing in on it. There's chunks of butter that you're still seeing in my dough, which is what I'm looking for. Yes, I've made a terrible mess. That is okay. I'm going to clean it up in just a moment. But I'm going to go ahead and cut my dough into triangles. And then I'm going to take my parchment lined baking sheet, put it on top of my salt. And I'm going to lay them out in like a circle. Whoops. Or you can just put them out whatever way you can. I just don't want them to really touch. And I'm going to bake them for 18 minutes at 375. Now remember, I preheated my oven before I even started cooking. That's what's we needed to do. So that way they're not sitting out and the butter melting. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly put those in. I have it for 18 minutes. Now, let's review some things. What leavening agent did I use? I used baking powder. This is what's going to help our scones rise a little. Now, what did I say about the cold butter? That we had to keep it cold so that it would melt while baking and allow our scones to be fluffy. If it melts too soon, we're going to get hockey pucks for scones, okay? So be sure that you're using your cold butter and you're working quickly. Do not over mix the dough, okay? That again is just going to cause hard scones. Nobody likes hard scones. All right. Also, baked it at 375 for 18 minutes, right? After 18 minutes, I'm going to pull it out of the oven and I'm going to put a nice little simple glaze on top, or I could do some coarse granulated sugar, which is bigger chunks of sugar, right? Now, scones started in Scotland and became very popular in the 1500s. It has stayed popular with like teas and coffees, to be served with teas and coffees. Now, in the 1500s, it was more of a biscuit or a type of bread to eat throughout the day. It is now more for tea time or breakfast, a type of treat. Very slight in sweetness. The only sweetness we have today are our chocolate chips. So it doesn't really add a lot of sugar to the recipe, as you can tell in my recipe right here. But it is a nice little treat, especially when you have a nice little glaze over top. Usually served or folded in with nuts and fruit and sometimes chocolates. So yeah, you can make all types of scones. I believe I've gone over everything that is on our demo questions. So I think we're good. I will come back and show you the finished product in a bit. All right, guys, bye.